Greetings, friends. Reformed Stoic, back with another video. So, this might actually be a short one here for you. I just want to get these thoughts out while they're fresh in my mind. So, the author that I've been reading is Howdie Mickoski. He has a 2-book series. The first one is Exiting the Cave. And then there's a part 2, which something else, the cave. I was thinking about writing it down on a sticky note or something to make have these little memory slip-ups a lot on the channel. But anyway, he did a 2-part series. The first one is Escaping the Cave. I read that one. Now I'm reading part 2. Easy enough to find. The author is Howdie Mickoski. So here's kind of the quick little spiel I want to have for where I'm at with the soul trap stuff, because as always on this channel, as many times I think we've been here, I start getting into something kind of wearing a mask. I've described that in the past, wearing these masks, and lately I've been kind of wearing the soul trap mask. Now, it's a broad topic. There's a lot of authors and intellectuals covering it. And it takes twists and turns as far as what conclusions some of these people come to. This guy is out there. I don't want to talk trash. On one hand, I like his body of research. I can tell that he's been searching for a long time. He had an experience where he fell down a canyon that, was like a big part of his life moving forward from that point. He had a near-death experience. It's interesting. I find it ironic that he puts down another author, which I'm reading her book as well. You know what? I'll edit this part out. I'm going to go figure out what it's called. Okay. So her book is Can You Stand the Truth? And I was saying, I find it ironic. Howdie Mickoski says that he really likes some of her body of research and like her explanation of the prison planet, but he disagrees with the conclusions that she comes to in terms of how to escape. Well, that's kind of similar to how I see Howdie Mickoski and a lot of these people. The other book that I just mentioned, which I already forgot the title, I had to go look it up. This is all like very new stuff to me. Having a little bit of trouble. These are contemporary. See, these are what I would 100% consider contemporary authors. I have the video that the soul trap is just reincarnation, which one person in particular seems to have some issue with that. I would say that he's very attached to the body of work of these contemporary authors. In layman's terms, contemporary means new. Non-contemporary would be old things like Advaita Vedanta, Hinduism, Gnosticism, Taoism. I would still definitely, how did I want to put this? I would be very, very, very hesitant to put the conclusions of these contemporary authors over ancient wisdom and sages and even certain wisdom of holy orders, mystics, and secret societies. I'm still a fan of the Martinists. But I find their research very interesting. One of the ideas that Mickoski had, and I don't really know where he's getting this stuff. It comes from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, I believe is what it's called. Now, I'm going to get into that in a second, but basically what he's saying is, if you live a really bad life, like the life of somebody who theoretically would go to hell, Then you have energy that is tasty to the lower beings, like the lower archons that are like lower on the totem pole, and that they feast off of your energy when you die, and it's very painful. And then there's the higher beings that are supposedly what people are worshiping and praying to, and they think that the energy of people who lived very good, wholesome lives is tasty, or like they get to eat those people because it's the hardest kind of energy to create or whatever. I mean, where is this guy getting this shit? Like, from his ass? Like, I just don't really know where he's getting that from. And, you know, I feel like maybe this other Soul Trap guy, who I don't want to have problems with you, dude, like, I think this stuff is interesting. This stuff is very interesting. But like I just said, I really don't like when these contemporary Soul Trap people try to shit all over the ancient sages. Okay, I still consider myself a mystic, Taoist, Advaita Vedanta, Martinist, Christian mysticism, Gnosticism. And these people definitely boast up Gnosticism. The lady's book that I mentioned, I'll put it in the description. Her book is really, like, just so many citations. Like, she'll have a paragraph, and then she'll have, like, a big citation from, you know, Hermes Trismegistus, or Helena Blavatsky, Emerald Tablets, Gospel of Philip, Gnostic Gospels. Like, she's just kind of, like, spamming all this occult knowledge, which, I got that book on pause right now while I read part 2 of Exiting the Cave. It's interesting. A lot of it is just kind of review for me. The way I've been reading it is I kind of just take a look at, like, the explanatory text that she's citing, and I usually just skip over it because I'm not a fan of reading a book that way, you know, where it's like some of her words, and then, oh, now we're reading the Emerald Tablets for like an entire page. Now we're reading Isis Unveiled or the Secret Doctrine for a page. It's just kind of this cluster flip of like esoteric knowledge. And, you know, some of these sources, like the Chaldean oracles, I'm not especially familiar with those, and I want to get a little bit more into that. But that's just not really like how I want to read a book, you know? Like, Howdie Mickoski has a book that's more like a regular book, basically. Maybe with like a couple of small citations or a bibliography at the end. But what I really wanted to get at here, guys, okay, so he says, you know, the good people who supposedly would be going to heaven, they get eaten by the high archons that we think are gods and that we worship and we pray to. And then the bad people get eaten by the lower archons, and the good people have tastier energy. I mean, that just really sounds childish and made up to me, dude. And there's not really anything that's based off of. Now, there's the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day. These are definitely things that I'm going to want to try to become an expert in. It's very fascinating because here's where I'm at with this stuff, guys. And so now I'm kind of pulling this out of my ass, okay? If we're going to be these contemporary people, I feel like I'm kind of maybe becoming one of these contemporary people. Here's kind of where I'm at. And this is not something that I made up. A long time ago, I don't even remember where I read this, but it might have been 4chan. Somebody referred to the Egyptian religion as the original scam religion. And that really made an impact on me. And I believe that's what this video is going to be titled. The Scam Religion. Okay, under 10 minutes. It didn't take too long to get here. I am of the belief, intuitively and from things that I've read and from being around the block, basically trying to reconcile my Gnostic Christianity. In my opinion, I'm still a Christian. I've merely converted, you know, to a different denomination. And that denomination is Gnosticism, which would be controversial to regular Christians. And I could go more and more about that. Like, oh yeah, like, are Mormons regular Christians or Jehovah's Witnesses regular Christians? We've already been there. My take is that the Egyptians did likely, in fact, create the original scam religion. How did this differ from pre-existing religions? Pre-existing religions had the cycle of samsara, reincarnation versus nirvana. The Egyptians were a culture built on slavery, and, there was some fanfare that came along with that. They had their pyramids and they had some innovations, and it's interesting to think about life in Egypt. I feel like now would be a great time to watch some documentaries about Egypt and the Egyptian polytheistic religion. Intuitively, not like I've never done any research around this area, but just kind of intuitively, just beep, 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 chosen one's intuition, that religion was in fact a scam religion. The Jews were enslaved in Egypt, and I believe that they took note of this way that the Egyptians came up with to create a kind of religion that changes society. It's like a society perpetuating noble lie religion. The Egyptians likely created it originally. Now, if it wasn't them, then it's the Chaldeans or somebody else. Just comparing the Anunnaki religion of the Sumerians, that to me appears to be what would be an earlier religion, which isn't, maybe not a religion. Like, maybe that is the real story of gene splicing from Anunnaki. Maybe that's the real tale of where people came from. Point being, in the Sumerian, there's not this system of judgment that leads to hell. That's the basis of the scam religion. Rather than reincarnation, there is severe, terrifying punishment. Like in the book of Coming Forth by Day, there is a big, hideous demon monster that is like waiting in the hall while your heart is weighed on a scale against a feather, and if your heart is heavier than a feather, then that thing eats you, and it's extremely painful, and it's similar to the idea of hell. I believe that Jews likely borrowed from a lot of cultures. I mean, this is the kind of textual criticism stuff that has been on my mind and that I've been on each side of for over a decade at this point. Like 12 years. I mean, all the way back, even longer than that, 14 years, back to when I first saw the Zeitgeist documentary. Now, where I believe that these people go wrong is that they try to throw the story of Jesus in with it. As a Gnostic, I believe that Jesus was real. Jesus truly lived. Some of these Gnostic Gospels are possibly genuine. The number one would be the Gospel of Thomas, to be considered for that. Now, I highly consider that some of them are just kind of like fan fiction, to put it in kind of a goofy way, from like Neoplatonists. And just Platonists, Neoplatonists, Pythagorean, kind of that whole mystery school. These mystery school people. But I'm still sorting through it, and I'm still come into my own ideas about it. But I guess the idea would be that the Gnostic Christ is the real Christ, and he came to undo this scam religion system, which Jews learned from Egypt while they were slaves there. That's basically it. So what happens when you die? Like, are you tasty to the high archons, and are your prayers going to the high archons? I'll just throw that out. I really don't like the way these soul trap people talk about prayer, and it's not founded in anything. These people are way too comfortable pulling shit out of their ass. And you know me with my Fetty detector, glowy detector. I mean, to be completely honest, this Howdie Mickoski guy, I just think he's out there. I feel like he's out there is maybe the nicest way to say it. You know, you took a little fall there down that canyon, buddy, and you think you got it all figured out. And I mean, these are people who are life seekers, bro. These are truth seekers. I mean, people spoke very highly of some of his earlier books. I mean, they speak highly of these books as well. He's been seeking his entire life. He spoke about his time in certain lodges and studying under, you know, Buddhists of various kinds. And I feel like I'm like a younger version of some of these people. I mean, going down my own path. I feel like with the soul trap stuff in general, I would really take things with a grain of salt. I do not want my channel to just be like, hey everybody, the soul trap stuff is great. Whatever book you pick up from soul trap, read it and just believe everything these people tell you, bro. Some of it is very, very, very negative. Like this idea that your prayers are giving energy to these evil beings, it's just not founded in anything. The stuff that these people are inspired by, you know, like Nag Hammadi, Gnostic texts and the works of Cathars, and you can't find this stuff anywhere, man. These people are kind of just coming to these conclusions, and I don't know where it's coming from. Just to tell you a little bit about my prayers, I have made a firm decision that I pray directly to Jesus Christ, and I believe that Jesus Christ is of the monad. I would consult Grok or Chat GPT and say, give me the definition of the monad according to Gnostics. And it is the highest, most absolute. It is a monarchy in which there is nothing above it. It is the divine source of all. Really, just kind of the stereotypical idea of what God is. And name drop, we'll do the abbreviated name drop. When I was very into the work of Mr. S.I., he made this point that there's kind of this this modern zeitgeist of what Christians tend to believe about God. They would describe God as basically the Gnostic definition of the monad, and it's this big, like, all regular Christians are Gnostics and Neoplatonists, and dude, you gotta believe this, the real God. Like, you know, it said in the Old Testament that he could be seen, and he was finite, and he liked the smell of burnt offerings, and like the real God is not the monad. It's Yahweh of the Old Testament, and it is not like all-encompassing and, you know, like omnipresent and infinite, and that's the descriptions of the monad, and it comes from Gnosticism and Neoplatonism. Well, I like that definition of God, and that's the God that I specifically, like, you could write a letter, you know, or you could create your own prayer that is like more or less, my prayers go to Christ, and I believe that Christ is of the original source. I can't think of the fancy way to say it. The highest high, the uncreated light, the originator, and Uncreated light sounds really cool to me, but that might not be correct. That might be something bad. I don't know. I'm new to some of these things, but I am having like big aha moments. And really what this is doing is it's like, it sounded like I was getting excited about the soul trap stuff. And now it's like, everything I was doing before this, like Gnosticism and Marcionism, and then I learned about the Cathars, just all this kind of like Gnostic Cathar stuff, and then Martinism. I still really like Taoism, Advaita Vedanta. I mean, when you start writing off the wisdom of these like Taoist sages and Advaita Vedanta sages, I still highly recommend the channel Spiritual Renaissance. These people just have a much more positive message. And it's like, oh yeah, but just because it's positive doesn't mean it's true. It's like these people are contemporary. Val Valerian is literally like former 20 years in the CIA. Does that automatically mean that he's wrong? I mean, I would just really take it with a grain of salt. What I described about Egyptians creating the original scam religion, which takes a fear of afterlife punishment, trying to kind of push you to be a perfect little cog in society. The Egyptians likely created that. Jews likely learned about that philosophically. And some people have speculated that, Jews studied Plato. And in like Plato's Laws, he talks about a system to create a genealogy, to like create a fake story of a religion. Now, as a more traditional kind of a Christian theologically, I encountered these ideas, and I would always point out that they can't be proven one way or the other. And what you end up doing is you kind of just use that to write it off. Gnostics were heavily oppressed, and Cathars. These people were killed en masse. The Cathars were, just about completely killed off. Now the idea is that maybe the origins of their earliest secret societies come from remnants of the Cathar. They also say remnants of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were killed 100 years after the Cathars were. So some of these, Cathars and Knights Templar, they had their own traditions. They had their own texts. They took it very seriously. They, like the Cathars were offered an opportunity to convert, and they didn't want to. They died. So now, is that just a blind endorsement of all of the secret societies? No, not necessarily. But I think we're kind of getting a little bit scatterbrained here. This is a lot. This is spirituality. I think praying is good. This paranoia that your prayers are going to something evil, I think it's very harmful to put that in people's heads. And, I don't know everything about the Archons. I don't think that these other people know everything about the Archons. This guy in my chat is like, oh, people have near-death experiences. That proves the soul trap. I saw the Hat Man. That proves Gnosticism. It's like, bro, we gotta kind of like stay founded in logic here. It's cool to like talk about things and hash things out. You're allowed to speculate, but here's the problem. When you're trying to shove something incredibly negative and hopeless down everybody's throat, I am 100% going to check you logically. A bunch of people having near-death experiences is not proof that everything the soul trap people say is true. You seeing the Hat Man is not proof of anything, okay? That's just reality, bro. Like, people get very emotionally attached to things, okay? This is like the sleep token of metaphysical knowledge. This is like contemporary stuff. You can't just throw all of the ancients in the trash, bro, because of what some 20 years former CIA dude said. I like what they say about the divine spark. Okay, it's weird. Like, I'm getting confused as I make this video. It's like, I do think that enlightenment, ascension, it's transcending, it's escaping, it's overgrowing. It's kind of like escaping from a trap. Oh, soul trap! Don't pray, boyos! Like, pray. I like to pray. I just would be very clear about what you're praying to, and then just don't question it. This whole paranoia, and there's other kinds of this paranoia. When people say, like, oh, the Trinity is actually 3 demons that you're getting tricked into worshiping. I've been consistent for a long time. I don't talk about this stuff that often, but this whole, like, you're being tricked into praying to evil parasites, and you're being tricked into worshiping 3 demons. And I just never really bought that stuff. And it's very negative, and it's harmful, and it's making you fucking paranoid. And interestingly enough, that's going to increase your fear. Those kind of beliefs are going to make you less powerful. The people who believe in the really, really, really real soul trap, dude, you're probably paranoid and extremely negative, and it's not helping you. It's just not helping you. So, scam religion, I basically believe the Old Testament is a kind of continuation of the scam religion. The Jews realized, wow, we can put ourselves at the center of it. We can say we're God's chosen people, and then we can just kind of, come from the middle of fucking desert up into other people's civilizations and be like, who are we, you ask? Well, we're God's chosen people. It's right here in the book that we wrote. So, and then Jesus basically undid it. Objectively, Jesus said, you have heard it said, but I tell you. It's like, oh, well, that's the new covenant. Sure, whatever. I'll go ahead and post my Jesus Christ the Subverter. I've created this thing with the help of AI, but it was taking my ideas and just kind of like, it's hard to explain. You should try to write some shit with AI. It's interesting how it works. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is convenient to say it's a new covenant, but we have the law, and Jesus said, you have heard it said, you should love your enemy, you should love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, you should love your enemy. Now, a lot of people don't like these teachings, and we could just go on and on and on and on. And yeah, this video is becoming another long video. It's also tiresome, boyos. And then, yeah, there are people out there that is like, oh, well, Jesus is also part of the slave religion, and Jesus is also part of the lies, and don't trust Jesus. And for me, guys, if I can't trust Jesus, then I can't trust anything. What my interpretation of Jesus' teachings is, this life is a game, and it's game over. So when you love your enemies, it's just, I'm not taking part in the game anymore. You're no longer of the world. You're no longer participating. Now, what I've been saying consistently on my channel is like, I'm not really ready for that yet. I feel like I have enough knowledge as a mystic where it's like, I feel like I know how to leave the world. But I still look good. My shoulders are broad. I'm still young. I still haven't really lived enough. And this is in line with what Spiritual Renaissance teaches. It's like, you kind of have to like live your life first. Because if you cope and become a hermit just because you're having a hard time, you might regret that when it's too late. You'll be 60 years old and it's like, you know what, man? Like, I feel like I wanted to live. So I'm kind of halfway in, halfway out, studying, reading, learning. I believe that there's something out there that cares about you, that you can pray to. I believe that things do happen for a reason, and this entire like hell realm, torture, matrix, everything is louche, everything is, I do think that there are parasitic entities, but it's almost like the soul trap is a religion that tells you that the parasitic entities have all of the power. And that's what I said way back when I was making those videos in Kodiak as a Christian attacking the soul trap. So it happens a lot. I start getting into it. I get a little bit excited. There are things about it that I like. The last video was soul trap is just reincarnation. And somebody's like, no, it's not. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not. When you listen to everything that these random authors are saying, these contemporary authors, who some of them are just really taking liberties, dude. And yeah, they cite all this stuff, but the Cathars didn't say that. The Gnostics didn't say that. And then, okay, so the Egyptian Book of the Dead did say that. I think that's a scam religion. I don't think that's some divine revelation of like, oh, they really learned about the coming forth by day. It's like, no, that's written by fucking slave driver scum who are like the shittiest monarchs ever, like the shittiest dictators ever, like created a scam religion to make everybody afraid. The whole point, guys, if you really want to just put it in layman's terms and skip the whole fucking rant, just stop being afraid. This whole like, oh, the parasitic entities are watching me and they're eating my prayers, and if I'm good, the leaders are going to eat me. It's like, wow, dude, that doesn't sound like it's going to help you with fucking anything. That's going to turn you into a paranoid fucking loony schizo, and hey, the CIA agents who created it, it's probably exactly what they fucking want. So it's just one more again for Team Stoic. This is what I do, bro. I kind of infiltrate shit, and then I kind of destroy it, and Soul Trap, what was that, like a week? It's just kind of... I'm rocking with Advaita Vedanta, which is non-dualism. I'm rocking with aspects of Hinduism. See, I feel like more or less, in layman's terms, some of the wisdom from India, from yoga, which is a very, 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 very broad array of stuff, occult knowledge, I think that in there are the gems. And I feel like being founded in Christianity prepared me to find those gems. And my philosophy is like, I think the Epicureans got it right. Just do whatever you want. Just be happy. This life is, on some level, bullshit and slavery. I don't know about parasitic archons making it slavery, but I know about, like, corrupt leaders and people going to Epstein Island, and fucking greedy ass boomers who sold out their kids, and I know about that for sure. And there's all kinds of people who have proven that beyond the shadow of fucking doubt. So why speculate? I really think that I'm kind of coming in for a landing, and maybe people thought some of my beliefs were, and what people don't seem to understand that I've explained is I kind of wear these masks and I get involved in these different things, and every spiritual community that I come across, it seems they eventually aren't very happy with me, because I kind of just like, oh, you know what, actually this is all bullshit and you guys are feds, and I'm going to expose this. That's just kind of what I do, bro, because I feel like I'm a free spirit. I had a dream that I was a butterfly on a surfboard and I was drinking green tea like that guy in Grandma's Boy. Yeah, man, like, just, I would not recommend that you become afraid of fucking everything. That's not going to help with anything. Now, the journey continues. I'm going to finish these books. I'm watching The Good Place right now, which you can find a lot of interesting analyses of that. This kind of soul trap idea does seem to be in a lot of stuff. And I maintain that the thing that you should take away is that when you first die, you are allowed to question whether or not the very first thing you encounter after death is an authority, is a ambivalent or a benevolent rather authority. It's like, oh, when you die, the very first thing that you see is guaranteed to be a benevolent authority. Do whatever that thing says. That is really the thing that I would take away from Soul Trap. That, and they all seem to talk about the divine spark. Yeah, you have a divine spark. Awaken it. It's awesome. It's not like, oh, doom and gloom, I'm afraid to pray, oh, they're going to eat me when I die. It's like, you got a divine spark. Hell yeah. Fuck the world. Everything's fucking lame. Let's go. Epicureanism. Do whatever you want. Be happy. And it's going to piss people off, dude, because there's a lot of people who this is all there is for them. All that really matters for them is like this life. I really like the stand-up routine Revelations from the guy that some people think became Alex Jones, Bill something. I just brain farted on his name, dude. Bill Hicks. He just has a moment in the stand-up where it's like life is a roller coaster, and some people in life are like, oh, you know what? This is a ride, and it gets off, and you know those people are evil, and fuck those people. We kill those people. Like, hey, shut that guy up. And then there's just kind of the regular people, the normies, are like, the ride's really, really real, and I got my money, and I got my cars. Like, it's all really real, and it's just, and you know, a lot of people could take this and just become a fucking bum and be homeless and have nothing. It's like, wow, that kind of seems like this is meant to turn you into a fucking loser and give up on life. And it's like, bro, find your happy medium. Does it make you happy to make money? Then make money. Are you miserable trying to like make a bunch of money because you come from some family and it's like, you always get A, you know? Like some family, maybe something in your culture that you have to like make a lot of money and go to a big college. Are you not happy? Then go live in a school bus in Alaska and then try not to starve like Chris McCandless did. Or maybe you grew up in a hippie commune and maybe you want to be a fucking lawyer. Do whatever the fuck you want, as long as you're not hurting other people. And then people are like, oh, that's do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Yeah, a lot of those people are weirdos, dude. A lot of those Aleister Crowley people, that shit's just kind of rubs me shady. They're like, but that's what that is. Do whatever you want as long as it's not hurting other people. Like, those people are weird. Those people are weird, dude. A lot of them are weird. Aleister Crowley was just kind of weird. But I could just keep riffing on this forever. So, I don't know, guys. I'll leave you with that. Hey, look at that. 38 minutes. That's my lucky number. I guess it's time to end the video. God bless.